April. So we have a pretty significant aspect to talk about. A couple things for you. First of all, Mars is going to be in Sagittarius the entire month. That is your ruler, and it is all going to be making you take a look, a very deep and hard core look at what you deeply value and desire on a very immediate level. For you, this is also going to be about defending what you want and about placing enough value on it so that you can start to create the feeling of determination. I think for many of you, we've got a lot of fire energy, so we've got a lot of directional energy, but we also have, we have Pluto, we have Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, and Mercury all retrograding this month. So we have a lot of energy that's going to ask us to slow down and reassess. Which brings me to my next point. Your ruler is going to be going into retrograde. So whenever a ruler goes into retrograde, it delays progress. It postpones what you were hoping for. It slows you down, and it asks you to reflect and relax, reassess and reconsider some of your mindsets, the consequences of your actions, especially when we have so much Aries energy. It's a nice balance to all of this immediate needs and desires. I need them right now. I want to feel all this pleasure, but there's a sense of hold back, reflect and reassess, because I think you're just getting a little too carried away with all this ego-oriented energy. So I like that we're getting it kind of at this time. I do think that there's possibility for revelation, because your ruler is involved in a T-square, and this T-square has to do with the fact that there's a sense of merging reality with the illusion that you're creating about your reality. So this is a reality check. This is about facing the mirror and being very, very honest with what you see. Also, your other ruler is going into retrograde, which is Pluto. Pluto is going to be retrograding from about April 18th to all the way to the end of the month. And so this to me suggests that there is something that you need to take a look at how you maintain your personal power. More importantly, what I think that this has a lot to do with is I think that this has to do with your mindsets, the habits that you create in your mindsets, the way that that you cope with adversity, that you cope with opposition. You have to be mindful of that in this energy, because as we have Pluto and Mars both in retrograde cycles, I think what this does is it asks us, what do we refuse to see and acknowledge? Where are our weakest points? Where are our strengths, but where are our weakest points? Because we have to understand where our kryptonite is in order to protect the kryptonite area. It's like, Superman needs to know where that kryptonite is in the world, so that when he's flying around, he avoids that whole area and he'll just drop out of the sky, right? So you have to really, this is really honestly facing the reality of our situation. So we have some amazing energy. First of all, consistently throughout the month, Pluto is going to be in squaring off with Uranus. This will be all month. So I believe this is about facing our weaknesses, be very real and very gentle and reflective in this energy. This isn't about pushing forward at all costs, because what's going to cost is our sanity, our mindset, the coping methods. We want to be mindful of the fact that even a Scorpio has a limitation, and you need to respect the slowdown period, even though there's all this forward fire-based energy that's asking you to pursue what you want. I believe that this reflective period is very, very, very important for you. Very, very important. You're also going to be squaring off, Pluto's going to be squaring off with Mercury this month. Until about the 3rd. So be mindful of the fact that your mind could run away with you. You could be creating a lot of ego-based energy. For some of you that are in negative mindsets and dark places, that means that you could see things that aren't literally there, and that you can be obsessing over things that aren't really even happening. So just be mindful of where your mind is going, especially if you're in those negative vibrations. If you're in the positive vibrations, then I'm happy to say that Pluto is going to be trining Jupiter in Virgo. This has to do with expanding potential, expanding your mindset, taking a look at the future, really getting yourself into healthy routines that help support longevity. I think that's very important in this energy. It's obsessing over the right things, obsessing over outcomes, positivity. You know, this is all that energy that really gets us back on the right track in a really powerful way. You know, Mars also is going to be a squaring off with Jupiter, squaring off with Neptune this month. And so I really believe what you have, and it's in conjunct with Saturn. So the reality is that there is a point in our lives where you are disillusioned. Just there's some sort of illusion that you are creating, that you are fixating like it is your reality, when in fact it is not your reality. And the disillusioned thinking is going to be revealed to you in this energy. And remember that when planets fall into retrograde, it's about revelation. It's about realigning. It's about reassessing our current situation and really honestly being honest with ourselves in this energy. Those realizations are actually very powerful reality checks. So the new moon for you is going to be in your mind, in your mindsets, in the habitual thinking, and the ritualistic energies that you create, the obsessive nature that you have, that fixating on those outcomes. You're going to want to really assess that. So Mars is going to be conjunct with Saturn. It's about getting all of that under control. You know, Saturn is the energy that really asks us to discipline ourselves and to really take a look at ourselves and to create that longevity. But in order to do that, we've got to be very, very realistic about what we're expecting out of ourselves. And if we're expecting too much, then an obstacle gets thrown up, and then we get a little sense of reality check. So this new moon is, for me, I feel deeply that it has a lot to do with being very, very ego-less. I think if some of you are aligning with your ego, I think then, okay, let me say this in a couple ways. If we're aligning with Pluto, then what we're doing is we're making it all about ego, we're obsessing, and what we're pursuing is what we obsess about. But obsessions or fixating on whatever that is, to me, there's a sense of imbalance about it. There's a sense of that you are not fixating on the right outcome. For you that are concentrating on Pluto, for those Scorpios that are concentrating on Mars and Saturn, there's a sense of getting those things under control. There's a sense of this will trine out the energy, and you will gain a new perspective, and you will start to form positive rituals that will eventually lead to powerful outcomes. It just depends on which planet that you align yourself with. Some of you may be caught in between them. The reality is that when you're caught in a mutable square, it's like sometimes you could fluctuate back and forth, and it's just identifying the energy that you're associating with so that you can keep yourself in the correct alignment, because this energy it's going to be all over the place. Mutable energy is confusing. It's very unsettling energy. It can make you feel the hyper need to control everything, because I think there's a feeling of loss of control or instability in this particular energy for you. So the cumulative energy in this, I believe that for many of the new beginning would be aligning yourself with Mars and Saturn and getting yourself under control and starting to create positive rituals. The cumulative ending in this energy is that this is your full moon. This is all happening in your identity. The way that people perceive you, the control that you outwardly radiate, I think is important. So if some of you are in, of course, negative energy, guess what that means? People are looking at you and they don't trust that you're stable at this point. You know, the cumulative energy is the realization for you is that maybe I don't value the correct things. I'm not aligning myself right. I'm out of alignment. The reality is the cumulative ending to that energy is, whoa, I need to dial it back, relax, reassess, reconsider some of my choices, because I am not in alignment. And that's a beautiful cumulative energy to come to, because that is where we understand limitation and boundaries. And that is also what Saturn represents on a very, very high, that's its highest form of energy. If you're aligning with Pluto in this energy, then the realization is that you need to just take a break, reassess, align yourself with trine energy, and just attend to those day-to-day details. You need to be mindful. You need to surround yourself with supportive people, with people who are sensitive to your needs and wants. This is about really releasing the energy and being a little bit vulnerable and being and letting your friends know, letting them in, letting them get to know you. I think it's very important in this energy to really honestly be mindful of the fact that we're all human. We all go through these points in our lives. The cumulative energy is that people will start to perceive you as somebody that is human. They can go to, they see vulnerability in. You exchange these vulnerabilities, and there's a sense of acceptance. There's a sense that you're not the powerhouse all the time, that you're not the sense that, I mean, what you deeply value is what everybody else values. I mean, that you can fall out of control and that people love you anyway. So there's this feeling of, what I believe it is the reality is that you are not invincible. The reality is that you're just like everybody else in this energy, vulnerable. And the reality is how do you cope with that exteriorly? Do you lash out and get mad at everybody and, make everybody pay? Or do you let them in and do you say, you know what, develop a positive coping method with me. I'm really honestly ready to change my outcome.